Hi, welcome to Made to Heal with Angela Brown. So, I'm going to talk about a topic that it was a gift that my husband and I got when we were married. It was a pillow that had a scripture on it, and it's First Corinthians 14 through 8. And I'm just going to read that and then talk about marriages, relationships, especially a marriage. And my marriage really struggled for the first 20 years. And my marriage is going on 28 years. And I'm just going to talk about how it struggled. So let's go ahead and then what has helped it. And I'm just going to put my part in it. I'm not going to talk about, he did this, I did this, whatever. But I'm going to talk about how we can come together and strengthen our marriage. So if you have your marriage that might be suffering or struggling, my marriage isn't perfect, and nor will I ever claim that it would be or is. But these are things that I have learned over the last several years that have really helped strengthen my marriage. So let me go ahead and read that. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, 4 through 8. It says, "Charity suffereth long and is kind. Charity envieth not. Charity vaunteth not itself. It is not puffed up, doth not behave itself unseemly, seeketh not her own, is not easily provoked, thinketh no evil, rejoiceth not in iniquity, but rejoiceth in the truth, beareth all things, believeth all things, hopeth all things, endureth all things. Charity never faileth." So I read that particularly slow for a reason. So rewind if you want and listen to it. Those words are powerful. That if you are living to a T everything that it says there, you would have an amazing marriage. Have I had all of that in my marriage from the get-go? No. And so I'm just going to talk about my side of the experience because my marriage did struggle for the first 20 years, and it's what happens when you get two people not in their healthy state of mind, right? That's not working on healing spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and physically. When you're not willing to put in that work, then your relationships are going to struggle. No matter where you find yourself, what kind of relationships you're in, they're just going to struggle. And it took me hitting rock bottom. And so I dealt with depression well before I got married, and suicidal thoughts well before I got married. And I dealt with anger well before I got married. And you take whatever role you played in your family growing up, and when you get married, you just take on those toxic traits. Yes, because we all have toxic traits at some point or another, and we incorporate that into our marriage. And that's what I had done. I had taken that into my marriage, and so it wasn't healthy. Now, does he have a part in his adding to the unhealthy? Absolutely, because we were both in our unhealthy state of mind. But like I said, I'm going to focus on me and just talk about when I hit rock bottom and was just kind of beside myself, not knowing how to heal, not knowing how to be happy. Oh, wow, happiness is up to me and it comes from within. It's not my husband's job or any of my children's job to do that for me. Like, oh, I have to come up with that? Wow. Okay, I don't have it. Where do I start? And God, you're going to have to show me this. And so I was on just this healing journey path, and it took several years, and it is going to take the rest of my life. That is the healing journey. It's when you recognize that you have an awareness of the things that you struggle with, and it is a daily work and a daily grind just to learn these and to implement and to keep trying and not giving up. And so our healing journey is a journey that never ends. There is a beginning point. There is a beginning point to where you're like, okay, I accept. I take on full accountability for how I am feeling. I am aware of having anger, having impatience, having the perfectionism. I'm just naming stuff that I struggled with in my past. So think of things that you have struggled with in your past, and having no self-worth, having depression, and having a bleak look, a bleak outlook on life. And this is where I was at. And so when we are willing to take full ownership and control and accountability of our emotions, this is where our healing journey begins. And then your healing journey begins and never ends. It will go on to the eternities, but it has to come to a point where you are going to take full ownership of the changes that need to take place. And so when I hit rock bottom, I was able to look at my relationships and the role that I played. And today I'm talking about marriage, because marriage is important. If you want to continue to strengthen your marriage, it is so important to have this desire to put in the work. See what it was that you brought to the table that was toxic. See that it is all the things that you can be aware of that aren't very healthy for your relationship, and be willing to work on those things and move forward. So I just had a lot of things that were playing against my marriage. The perfectionism, I brought in the perfectionism, and I wasn't patient with my husband. I wasn't willing to budge in a whole lot of areas. But as I hit rock bottom, I had realized the things that I had brought to the table that wasn't healthy. And I came to this awareness that marriage is beautiful. It's a team. I had always pit myself against my husband, or my husband was against me. I always had this division. And if you think about it, that is Satan's way. Satan's way is to divide. Satan's way is to divide and conquer. Divide and conquer. And Christ's way is to unite. Unite in love, to get anything that you want done, to get anything conquered. Love and unity. And I just felt like my first 20 years was the divide and conquer kind of a thing, the mentality. And it was just, pitting ourselves against each other, or just, always being mad and angry and choosing to be bothered by his weaknesses, or not willing to put up with, whether it was me not willing to put up with his weaknesses or him, mine, whatever. But I was, I was just working ourselves in my mind. It was always an against. It was always this friction. It was always this conflict. It was always this, work, and then just, not coming together, and just feeling like we are on two separate teams. And it was my thinking, my mentality, that it was always me against him. And that's when, in my healing journey, I have found, as I've gotten myself healthier and healthier, and in my healing journey, as I realized we're all in this together, we're on a team, and I want my marriage to be strengthened. I want to have a healthier relationship with my husband, and I love him, and I love everything good that he brings to the table, and I'm willing to just focus on the goodness rather than the things that irritate or annoy, or that have caused problems within myself or with him. I was willing to just say, look, I'm willing to just work it out and move forward, and recognize that our marriage wasn't perfect, and nor will it be. I think we've always had the disagreements, and now there's people that are like, oh, you have fought in your marriage? Well, we've never had a fight. We've always gotten along, and there's never been a cross word said between each other. And I hate to say it, but I think those are very rare and far and few between. And if you have one of those marriages that you haven't had any disagreements, and you've had nothing but love the entire time, that's rare. That's very, very rare, and I'm happy for you. But I am coming from a point where I've really had to always work at my marriage. And, but it hasn't been until this last several years when I decided to be into a healthy mind frame. Let's be honest, I was stuck and in a horrible spot for 30 plus years. And then brought that into my marriage 10 years into it, or 10 years plus, and then had to, uh, and then was married for our first 20 years. And I didn't offer anything healthy, but it was when and I'm going to say 19 years is when I hit rock bottom. When we were married, 19 years is when I hit rock bottom. But just going on, just, I realized that I had to own up to I had to be willing to own up to my part in an unhealthy marriage. And when I placed the focus on changing myself, changing within, changing my thought process, my heart, my mind, and really working on mindfulness and really working on strengthening my relationship with God and Christ, that's when I saw turnaround, a huge turnaround in my marriage. And it didn't happen overnight. It didn't happen in 3 months, 3 years. It was more like 4.5 years, to where I just decided to love my husband as he was and not try to change every little nitpicking thing, and learned to be okay with that, right? Learned to let things that didn't matter. You have this whole different perspective when you're working on changing yourself and wanting a better world. And as you get closer to God, your perspective changes. The way you view others around. It's not like, so that's what I changed my perception on our marriage. Instead of us always being in this conflict and confrontation and, wonder, how long this, when my relationship with my husband was good, I always had the back of my mind, like, I wonder how long this is going to last. It usually doesn't last long. And so it was unhealthy thinking. And when I was able to transition that mind frame to, we're a team, we are a team, and we are here to get to this same end result. We are here to get our family in a better place, and we're here to it thick and thin. And, I'm going to be honest, I had threatened the big D word, the big divorce word, with my husband several times in those first 20 years. And I look back on it, and having that loom over him wasn't fair to him, because he never said that to me. And so I was not in a good spot. And so just, it's important, and were there justifiable reasons for me to bring the big D up? Maybe, possibly, if I were to go into the whole nitty gritty, people might be like, oh yeah, that's grounds for divorce. Like, yeah, do it. You're not happy. But I am grateful. Being in my young marriage and wanting a divorce, and then not just waiting it out, but willing to, especially as I got into my healthy mind frame, willing to put in the work, willing to take ownership on my part, willing to stay in it no matter what, and choosing that commitment, choosing to be fully committed. And that's what I struggled with, is to be fully committed, because I was waiting for a better this in him or a better that. And when I was able to take full responsibility, I was able to go, I was able to see. I saw changes. I worked so hard trying to change him our first 20 years of marriage. I worked so hard to change him. Like, he was the problem. The kids were the problem, when no, I wasn't happy, and the happiness comes from within. And once I was able to recognize that, and once I was able to get in a spot where I truly feel happy, I have been happy the last several years. And when I was able to get to that spot, my relationships just started to get better and better and better. And that's what we're here. We're here to learn how to unite. I just want to hone in on, you're on the same team. We don't need to, like, compete with our spouse or compare their gifts with our gifts, because we're not the same person. We come together and we're married and we're one, but the things that my husband offers in our relationship and the thing that I offer in our relationship are two different things, but we come together and it's a beautiful whole. We come together and make a whole. And it's been so beautiful for me to recognize that, instead of doing the comparison thing and the competing or the one-upping, or it's just something that comes natural. It's something that the natural man, it's easy to do, is to one-up things, or to not really have enough compassion. And compassion is something that I've had to learn. I didn't have compassion for myself all those years. And so when I started learning to love myself and what that felt like and what that meant I could really start to implement that in my marriage towards my husband and towards my kids. And it is a true thing. If you don't love yourself, you truly don't love anybody else around you. So it's just learning that compassion. And when I learned to have that compassion for me, then I was able to learn to implement it to others. And so it's so important. And it's important when you're in your relationship, in your marriage, that you're not seeking your own. You're always, thinking of the other and wanting the best for them. And that's where it comes into play. So I wanted to share that. I don't know. I just think that's what came up in my mind today, is that saying that came on the pillow. We got this beautiful pillow and we've never used it. I tucked it away and put it in my hope chest, and it just sits there. But maybe I do end up taking it out and finding a wide enough frame and having it framed, because it's meant that much to me, and it's helped me the last several years really focus on healing my marriage, healing relationships, healing myself. We are in this thing, but here, bottom line is, when my husband and I truly centered our relationship on Christ. That's the definition of charity. You want to know what the simple meaning of charity is Jesus Christ. And everything he stands for, not stood for, but everything he has taught and does teach. He is still with us. He's with us all. He's in us all. He's through us all. God is in us all. So because of that, our relationships are able to heal. And I'm living proof. If you would have told me my marriage is what it is, if you would have told me in the first 10 years, like, hang on, girl, your marriage is just going to get better and better and better and better as the decades progress, I would have never believed it. I wouldn't have believed a word of it. But I'm here to tell you, when you're willing to have a different mind frame, and instead of dividing and conquering and having that unity mind frame, and having that coming from a place of seeking not your own, but thinking of your significant other, then that is, and how you can help strengthen that bond, and how you can be a better person to help lift them up, they in turn will do the same. I don't know where you are on your journey and what hangups or different things that you struggle with, but there is hope. There is always hope, and never. I love that the last things it says, charity beareth all things, it believeth all things, and hopeth all things, and it endureth all things. When you have charity, that's what makes it possible. When you center your life on Christ, and then when you and your spouse come together and center your lives on Christ, that's what makes it possible. So I know this is an extra longer video. It's an important message. I wanted to give up on my marriage so many different times, and I am grateful to this day that I did not give up, that I, stuck through it. And I did feel stuck in my marriage for a long time, but I don't feel that way anymore. In my healthy mind frame, I'm like, we are a beautiful team, and we make a beautiful team, and we are just there to help lift one another, so that we can in turn together as husband and wife lift our children and their spouses up, and whatever help that they need, we can come together and be of that strong support, because we support each other strongly. We are uniting in Christ. So God bless. Like I said, my marriage still isn't perfect. It's something that we work on daily. And we're in it for this life and the life after. And go ahead and please like and subscribe to my channel. And until next time, we'll talk to you later. Bye.